Hello again, my name is Rod, and I'm here at our school construction site. I want to talk a little about the progress that the school has made so far and what are the next steps that we need so as to reach a good milestone before we start the registration process of the school. As you can see in the background right now, we are doing the roofing of of the first part of the first block. I say the first part of the first block because it's not a complete block yet. We are going to have another block here, and that is going to complete the first block. After that, we are going to have several blocks, at least 6 blocks, so as to complete the set of 15 classrooms. That means 2 streams in each classroom. For a primary school, it requires to have 7 streams, but due to the number of students that we want to accommodate, we're going to have 2 streams for each class. It will make a lot of sense if we decide to do this second part of this first block, but according to the regulations and the next phase of our construction, we need to put up a fence first. So I'm going to explain a little bit on how much of fence that we need and what type of fence that we need. And this is a large area. We have at least 3.5 acres of land here, which translates to about 650 running meters. So it means if you take a full circumference or full perimeter of this area, you will be covering at least 650 meters. As you can see on the background, there's a guy standing on the first part of that is one of the first sides of the piece of land. And he's walking just to show an illustration, a little bit of how much ground we have to cover when putting up the fence. So 650 running meters is a lot, and it's part of our regulation in the registration process of the school. So the next step in our school construction is going to be putting up the fence. This is on the other side of our whole property. You can see there's a guy standing at the very end there. That is another point of which marks the boundary of our property. And he has walked all the way from there. So on this side alone has at least 150 meters. And again, that is just a small demonstration on how large the property is, which we are going to have to put this fence. So I'm at the top floor right now. This is the roofing process ongoing, just to emphasize how much of fence we're going to need. That tree there, that is the boundary on this side. This is our temporary storage room. Goes all the way to that tree there. Then comes back this way, all the way to a tree which is like behind this, so can't really see it. And then it goes all around behind the building. This is behind the building. All this is the property. We're going to have the last corner there, which will connect to the first corner, which I just explained at the beginning, which is there. After careful consideration, we've come to an idea of first we want a green fence that is going to be cost effective. We would have gone with a block fence, but block requires a deeper foundation. It requires a lot of steel reinforcement. It requires a lot of blocks. It requires a lot of manpower. Covering 650 meters, that's going to cost a lot of money. So this is an example of the fence that I'm envisioning to go around the school compound. This is the chain link, and this is the barbed wire. Even though we're going to have a different version of the barbed wire, which has some spikes on the top, but a roll of this wire mesh here that covers about 10 running meters costs at least $60 for the quality that we want. So divide and multiply that by the number of meters that we have around our compound to get the cost of that. One pole costs at least $13. So putting them at a distance of 3 meters from each other, that is going to give us a cost by the number that will cover the whole 650 meters that we have at our school compound. This ground beam requires at least 2 feet into the ground for its foundation, and it's going to cost at least 3 bags of cement to create 3 meters of it. So multiply that and divide by the total number of running meters that we have at our school compound to get the cost of each material, which is the sand and the cement required to make the concrete for it. Now, after that, I'm going to illustrate the next stage after having this fence, which is going to put the greenery to grow the plants that are going to increase the aesthetic value of it and to increase the security, and it's going to be extremely beautiful. So once the wire mesh and the foundations and the columns are done, The plants are grown, and this is how the typical fence will look like. Extremely secure. I think it's beautiful more than any other block fence, and it's going to perfectly fit our school environment. Once we put up a fence at the gate, we're going to be secured and we're going to be able to proceed with the school registration process. However, as I said, this is the first part of the first block, and we're going to finish roofing it today. Then, after we do the fence, we're going to do another block here, which is going to have a staircase in the middle so that we can put top floors. But we're going to have several more blocks moving all this direction. And then beyond the blocks, we're going to have a small playground for kids to do separate sports. But this area here mostly is going to be a parking spot and also just some greenery and some nice landscaping. We're also going to need to drill a well, which is access of water underground. Is a little bit deeper than usual. So we're going to have to drill into the ground. That is the next stage of after the fence. We're going to need to put a well here so that we can access water. Of course, there's a national grid system, but it costs a lot of money with constant bills. So having water on site that you drill is a one-time investment. Anyway, so that is a simple demonstration of what is needed next in our school construction. I hope I've done a good job to make you understand what we need next in the school construction, and I hope you'll be able to help in one way, shape, or form.